It begins with a struggle. A trunk gets opened to show two restrained kids inside. One of them gets taken out, while the other's time has not yet come. 6 hours before that incident, we see the two boys running in a field. One of them, Kevin, says he can't wait until they are older. He wants to leave this place. Where he wants to go instead is California. They lie there in the field, talking to each other like genuine friends. The two of them agree that that's what they will be until the end. While playing catch, their baseball rolls away quite a distance from the duo. Kevin goes to retrieve it. After being gone for some time, Bobby goes looking for him. Eventually, he finds the baseball, but Kevin is nowhere. At that moment, someone quickly slams the boy into a tree to kidnap him. We return to the present time, where Bobby struggles to set himself free inside the trunk. He manages to remove the tape around his mouth and yells for help. However, no one comes to him, so he finds a way to undo the restraints around his wrists. Then he slams his way out of the trunk. The boy has to sit for a moment to collect himself before falling out. Afterward, he escapes from the building to start running away. Passing a house, he hears the screaming of another kid. He knows that is probably his friend, Kevin. So what Bobby does next is he breaks a window to enter the house that way. We see that their friendship is indeed solid, at least from Bobby's end. As he walks along the house, he spots someone sitting and watching TV. Bobby stealthily crosses that area, but it becomes harder once someone knocks on the door. This makes the person inside come out. Bobby observes one of them giving money to the other. While the man is still outside, Bobby goes upstairs to search for his friend. He opens several doors, but Kevin isn't in either of them. Entering a certain room, he hears someone behind a bookcase. This prompts him to move it. He hears a man talking with more clarity now, telling Kevin not to cry. When Bobby accidentally knocks an item from the bookcase, the man comes out. He starts searching the house. Meanwhile, the boy attempts to open the door where Kevin is, but it's locked. He also gets an unpleasant surprise by seeing the man standing there, looking at him. So Bobby goes back to hide in the room with the bookcase. Coming inside, the man says he doesn't have to hide from him, yet he continues to do so, knowing not to trust the words of a kidnapper. After making a sound, the man starts zeroing in on his location. He opens the door to get struck by a stick in Bobby's hand. The boy starts running. However, the man catches up to him in the kitchen. There he says he just wants to talk. What ends up happening is Bobby equipping himself with a knife, and the man slipping on the floor to bump his head. When he sits up, he accidentally impales himself on the knife Bobby holds. The boy becomes terrified due to this. At this point, he has gotten himself into a situation unlike any other he has been in. He finds himself responsible for taking the life of another person. How will he go on after this? Even though it wasn't intentional, the blood is still on his hands. Bobby manages to collect himself and come to the room where he can talk to Kevin. He starts talking to him, learning that Kevin is not hurt. Kevin mentions the existence of another man to Bobby, so that is something for him to stay cautious about. He also informs Bobby that he is incapable of movement. Despite the ugly situation, they repeat to one another that they are friends until the end. Following that, Bobby goes looking for the keys to open the door. In the meantime, we see a countdown on the lifeless man's watch. Bobby comes to him to search his pocket. In one of them, he finds some keys. They do not work on the door, though Bobby discovers they activate the car outside. So he tries using the car to get help. Once he starts driving, he has a hard time doing it. Soon enough, he finds that he cannot control the car as it rides backward. This forces him to jump out and re-enter the house. To save his friend, he will have to resort to using whatever resources he can find in the house. External help is not an option. Inside, he locates a huge locker, where he finds, amongst other items, an old-fashioned telephone. He talks to Kevin about it, who informs him how to use it. Bobby returns to the locker to collect a cord and connects it to the phone. After finding a place to connect it to the wall, we see the countdown on the watch reaches 0. It starts beeping loudly enough for Bobby to hear, so he reacts by going to the room with the man. He doesn't know what the beeping means, but he knows he has to use the phone now. Bobby comes back to it to call 911, telling the operator the situation. While he's still talking, the situation worsens when he notices a car approaching the house. This causes him to disconnect the phone before hiding. The other man enters the house. The first thing he does is turn on the television. While he's occupied in that room, Bobby comes to the lifeless man to start dragging him out of sight. Once he has done that, he begins to clean the blood on the floor. Then the other man enters the kitchen. Except for one bloody spot near the table leg, we see Bobby manage to clean the mess in time. He sits hidden with the knife in his hand. As he sits, he spots some keys that he takes after the man leaves. Next, he throws the deceased man out of the house. Bobby goes back upstairs. When he's up there, he hears the man coming too. This makes him hide under the bed. From there, he observes how the man moves a cabinet to reveal a safe. He punches in a code that Bobby sees and places money inside. After he leaves to go to the shower, Bobby opens the safe. However, he is not interested in the money. What he looks at instead is an envelope containing disturbing pictures. They bring tears to his eyes. There is a key there too, which he collects. Unfortunately, it doesn't open the door to Kevin. Caring about his friend, he tries to use any method to get him out. He even tries opening the door with the knife. Yet he just ends up hurting himself in the process, to leave a bloody mark on the doorway. The man, who we don't see, soon finds that mark. Bobby sees him do it before going elsewhere to hide. In that hiding place, The man comes to take some keys out of her coat. Shortly after, Bobby hears how Kevin pleads to the man not to hurt him. Afterward, Bobby hides in the restroom. The man tries to open it. Once he realizes the other boy locked himself in there, he comes back with an axe to start destroying the door. At that moment, Bobby's possibility of surviving decreased even more. He now finds himself in a situation where he has to deal with the perpetrator in a more confrontational manner, while also trying to rescue his friend. A hole has formed in the door, which the man uses to put his hand through to unlock it. Not letting him do it, Bobby cuts his hand with the knife. That causes the kidnapper to leave. Then they both hear sirens outside. Instinctively, the boy starts yelling for help, but he cannot be heard from such a distance, along with the window being closed. The man barricades him before going to the front door. He increases the volume on the TV to block Bobby's possible screams. As the door gets opened and the perpetrator steps outside, we see that it was a lady all along. The policeman tells her about the call he received, but she acts like nothing is going on in her house. When he sees the cut on her hand, it prompts him to ask for her ID, so she goes back in to get it. After a while, the officer enters the house because the lady is taking too long. He turns off the loud television to properly search for her. It doesn't take long for Bobby to run down the stairs, asking the policeman for help. As he starts coming to the boy, the lady offers a surprise attack on him with her axe. This takes him down instantly, and just when Bobby thought the situation was in his favor, he becomes forced to retreat again. The lady slowly comes after him with her axe. She breaks through into the restroom, only to discover it wasn't the place he returned to. This makes her take out a gun. Meanwhile, Bobby takes the officer's baton. The lady soon finds the man Bobby threw outside. While searching for him elsewhere, she says that her friends like tough boys like him. She also offers to swap him for Kevin. At that point, Bobby runs up to her and strikes her with the baton. He follows by handcuffing her to a pipe while stealing her keys. As he runs away, she shoots at him with her gun. One bullet enters his leg. He tends to his wound inside the house. Bobby experienced a win along with a loss. He got to restrain the perpetrator, but he suffered a non-minor injury. In addition, he knows she spent a lot of ammo shooting at him, having acquired another key. Will this be enough for him to escape with his friend? Bobby has a hard time walking now. However, the key he got allows him to finally open the door. He enters a room where a camera stands, ready to record. Though this is not the room with his friend, he finds Kevin sleeping in another room. Upon waking him up, Kevin reacts with hostility. Yet he realizes that it's Bobby and hugs him. He is very glad his friend did not abandon him. We see he has a certain device around his neck. After trying to use the axe to break Kevin's binding chain, Bobby realizes he has a key that might unlock it. So he uses it and it does the job. Following that, they escape the room together. Once they go near the stairs, misfortune strikes. The device around Kevin's neck triggers a sensor that causes the device to electrocute him. Bobby decides to go while Kevin stays there. He comes to the lady, who is making progress with removing herself. She manages to bring him down in addition to hurting him, but the boy hits her with a plant cutter that lies nearby. Then he uses it to sever her finger. After escaping her, Bobby needs to collect himself. In a short time, he loses consciousness. Kevin sees his friend from another room. He decides to descend the stairs, even though he's getting zapped. Eventually, he exits the house. At the same time, the kidnapper frees herself too. When Kevin comes to Bobby, he uses the plant cutter to remove his neck device. He wakes Bobby up, telling him they have to go. But the boy tells him he can't do it, Kevin should go without him. To those words, Kevin reminds him they are friends until the end. Next, we see Bobby being helped by his friend to enter the police car that the officer arrived in. They are very close to their freedom now. Inside, Kevin takes out a stun gun. Afterward, he tries to radio for help. The boy informs the other officer of their situation and he tells him the police are on their way. While they wait, Kevin tends to Bobby's wound. Soon enough, they see the kidnapper coming to them with an axe. She strikes the window a few times with it. It doesn't break, so she goes back into the house. The reason for that was to retrieve the policeman's car keys. Opening the door, she takes out Bobby. He is too injured to fight back, so she gets ready to strike him with the axe. Yet Kevin runs out to apply the stun gun on her. She falls, and he applies it some more. He walks away with Bobby, without finishing her off. Shortly after, she gets up to follow them into the woods. Eventually, she surprises them there with her presence. Kevin falls, and she misses striking him with her axe. It gets stuck in the tree. Then Bobby jumps on her, but she swings him off. She follows by giving him a forceful kick. The kids are now damaged to the point where fighting back no longer seems like an option. The kidnapper removes the stick from the axe head, which remains stuck in the tree. Yet it is still sharp, allowing her to begin bringing it down on Bobby. It seems like she has won, because the two friends just sit there, no longer offering any resistance. However, fortune finds them in the form of the kidnapper getting shot from behind. She falls, to reveal an officer standing a respectable distance behind her. He escorts the kids into his car, where they soon ride away into safety. The terrifying experience has ended. They manage to survive with injuries that should heal rather soon. In the final scene, we see them occupy a beach, perhaps in California, as Kevin wanted from the beginning. They are both happy, being where they wanted to be, and being together as inseparable friends. After going through such a hardship cooperatively, we expect their friendship to be a long-lasting one.